A resolution to the trade war between the U.S. and China cannot come fast enough for some lesser-known retailers because, as Courtney Reagan reports now, the tense economic relationship with China is turning into a big challenge for many smaller retailers.
While the trade war hurts businesses of all sizes, large retailers like Walmart and Home Depot have the ability to adapt. It's harder for smaller retailers. And more than 98% of U.S. retail companies employ 50 people or less, which means 40% of retail employees, 11.5 million people, work for small retail companies, according to the National Retail Federation. This is United Legwear. It's a larger private company, employs a little more than 1,000 people with $500 million in annual revenue. It designs, manufactures, and licenses legwear and accessories for brands including Puma, Champion, and Skechers. United Legwear manufactures in a number of countries, but China is its biggest manufacturing market, making 270 million pairs of socks there annually.
We've moved from a model of being proactive and strategic as a company in the last 18 months to being much more defensive and protectionistic. It's caused us to disrupt our cash flow, our distribution center operations, as well as our inventory planning and our forecasting forward because of the sporadic and radical changes that are constantly happening now between Mr. Trump and the Chinese government.
Gold Medal International is an accessories, socks, gloves, hats, and scarves wholesaler with $60 million in annual revenue and 50 employees. And although it manufactures in 10 countries, China is a significant portion of its sourcing.
This is a family business. We're third generation. My son is actually overseas in Southeast Asia at the moment, and he has been here 5 years. He got married 3 years ago. They're expecting their first child in December, and the government's trying to put us out of business.
Carlton's is a single store in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, selling men's and women's apparel from brands like Tommy Bahama and Patagonia. It employs up to 15 people with annual revenues of $2 to $3 million. Co-owner Trey Krause says a 15% tariff will increase his prices up to 25% in order to maintain the company's profit margin percentages. He expects higher prices will lower the amount he sells, but Krause is also worried about the larger impact tariffs could have on the consumer.
My consumers having to pay more at the grocery stores, at the hardware stores, et cetera, and then coming in here with less dollars to pay and to buy something that costs more. I'm concerned about not only my business, but my next door neighbor and others down our quote Main Street. And the vitality of our community hinges on the success of our businesses.
All three testified at the U.S. trade hearings in Washington, D.C., asking the administration to reconsider its tariff policy. For Nightly Business Report, I'm Courtney Reagan in New York City.